To it here. We are excited about this trip, and as far as roster and status updates right now, we have everybody practicing right now in some capacity. We have Justice and Seth who are practicing, but they're somewhat limited in what they can do. Justice and Seth will not play in the two games in the Bahamas. They won't be fully cleared. We do expect them to be fully cleared by September. I don't anticipate any issue there. Gene may be on a minutes restrictions. Outside of that, we should have everybody pretty much ready to go, as long as we stay healthy these next couple of days of practice. So the trip overall is one that we're looking forward to. We're looking forward to. It's unique. I talked to a couple different coaches, and they talked about wanting to play a couple different teams. And for us, we said, hey, just give us the best teams that you have there. So we believe the Egyptian national team and the Puerto Rican national team will both be really good teams and good measures for us as a group. The trip is obviously not about that. It is about the practice time and the chance to play a bunch of different rotations. Our starting group, we've divided up our two teams in practice pretty evenly, and it's very likely that the next 3 days will determine what group we start. So as you can see, we're not in regular season mode yet. It's going to be a rotation that's going to be a little more full than it typically is, and we're going to look at a bunch of different combinations. So we think we're playing two good teams. We're excited about that. We hope we can come out of this with a group that's closer and has some time spending together and some fun, and where we learn something about our guys.
With so many new guys, Chris, how important are these just 2 games, to see kind of not just how they work together, but how they react to things?
Yeah, it's really important. That and I think the practices. So we've had a chance to practice. We've scrimmaged now twice. Today will be the second day we scrimmage the vets. So we have some of the vets coming in at 5 and scrimmaging. So just the opportunity to play some of those guys. I think the practices, most coaches will tell you that on these trips, it's the practices that are most valuable. Coaches determine, they can script who they play, and say, okay, we want to come out of this. I had a coach tell me, I want to play 2 teams that we're definitely going to beat, so our team has, great confidence. I'm not concerned about that. We'll just play who we play and go from there.
Coach, obviously you guys have even joked about all the newcomers on the team and all the new faces this season. What are the biggest challenges with that, and has it been more challenging than you expected, or can you speak to the challenges with that?
Yeah, I think it's too early to tell on that. I think I've botched a few names, that's for sure. But outside of that, I think it's too early to tell. We'll know more once we get to. I think we'll learn a little bit through some of the game reps we get here. I think we'll see some of that inexperience, but as far as what that transition's fully going to look like, I'm not sure we'll fully know until we get to November games.
Do you go into these 10 days of practice with specific goals, things you want to accomplish, or is it how different do you structure these practices compared to when it's actually the season?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's different tempo, and overall different pace, different intensity. But there's still, it's still a lot for guys. You're asking guys, to go for an hour and 45-minute practice when that's really not what they've done since late March. So we've tried to tailor it and make sure that Q had them ready to be able to do an hour and a half, hour and 45-minute practice. But the tempo and the intensity is different.
How much of an open mind do you bring into it too? Like, you might have an idea of what some of these guys look like, but are you putting guys in specific situations, or is it a little bit more open, just trying to figure out who fits where?
Yeah, it's very experimental in a lot of ways. I think it's, especially with, I think if we had a group that maybe was returning 4 or 5 starters, or maybe a little bit more just more experience returning. I think in that case it might be different. I think this is going to be very experimental, and we're going to tinker with some things. And there's only so much you can do in 2 games and 10 practices, but we'll certainly play a variety of lineups.
Chris, you talked about the team trying to come together. You got pretty much a new staff in there. How are you guys all coming together? Do you feel like there's good chemistry in your staff meetings right now?
Yeah, great staff. We have a lot of returning guys. You guys probably don't see the guys on staff that work kind of behind the scenes, Robbie Rucky and Kyle Davis and David Egelhoff. So we have a pretty big staff. Joe Gemma in the back, the great Joe Gemma. So we have a lot of guys returning. There's only a couple new guys, but Nick and Jack have been great. So playing in well.
The extension that you got, not really getting all the money and all that, but the years, and to talk to the freshmen before they arrived here, they were excited knowing that you're committed to Ohio State, Ohio State's committed to you. They don't have to worry about who their coach is going to be. Just maybe talk about that a little bit and what you're able to sell because of that stability in the program, I guess.
Yeah, no, I'm as I've said publicly, really excited about the future, grateful for the trust of the administration. Great, love Ohio State, love being the head coach at Ohio State. And if you've spoken with our freshmen and they've said that, I don't think it was ever necessarily a question in their mind one way or the other, but I think it's, to have that and for them to know that, I'm sure makes them and their families feel good.
Chris, you mentioned Joe a minute ago, and there was a Twitter video a few weeks back of the newcomers and whatnot. I was curious, just from your perspective, how that all kind of came together and what your thoughts were on that.
I have no role in that whatsoever.
Gotcha. Well,
they say here, action, boom, go. Here are your lines. Those videos have been great. They've been great for our program since Joe and Kyle Davis. Those are really 2 guys. Ben Majors is another one. Those are really the 3 guys that spearhead that. Listen. The way media is consumed is different. You guys know that better than me. But the way recruits and your fan base consumes media, the way they consume games right now is different. They don't consume it necessarily the way we used to 5 to 10 years ago. So there is a intentional way in which it's not just, hey, we're trying to put some stuff out and have fun. We are trying to have fun, but we're being intentional about trying to reach a certain aspect of your fan base as well as your recruiting base.
Gotcha. I was on a tangent with that. Zed Key and Gene Brown were kind of like the leaders in that video, and so how have their leadership with their new teammates and whatnot from your vantage point?
I think Zed and Justice are 2 guys right now that we'll look to going forward. Justice needs to get back into, he's gotten back into workouts here of late, but he needs to get back into consistent stuff and able to really impose his leadership in a way that I think is going to be important. But we've also had some new guys step up, Isaac and Sean, that have been able to be everyday guys and exert a level of leadership that's going to be important for us moving forward.
Chris, going back to the question about the staff, you guys that are new, is the Bahamas kind of a dry run to make sure everything goes the way you want bench-wise? And I know obviously some key guys that you had for a while. Does that give you an opportunity to kind of check things before the game starts actually?
Yeah, I don't know that I'd put that much into the 2 Bahamas games. I think we'll have all that stuff really nailed down well before. I think there'll be, we'll look at some things as a staff in terms of, we really already have staff assignments, what the expectation, what guys are going to do. We have that ready to go now. But I wouldn't necessarily look at that as much as a dry run, just because it's going to be much more of a laid-back situation. I think, those guys, both Nick and Jack, have been great. They blended in well. Obviously, Jack's been here for a good bit now. He's been instrumental in a recruiting class that we hope is really good here and has some exciting finishing touches, hopefully. We'll see, but he's been important, and Nick's obviously just jumped in here of late and been great to have as well.
Chris, this is sort of the 4-month stretch of some flyer miles with the Bahamas and then Maui. I mean, aside from the basketball, you're going to get some games in, and clearly Maui's got one of the strongest fields that we've seen in quite a while. But how much of the guys, how much are you just excited about going to these two places to mix in the basketball with it?
Yeah, I'm excited about it. You know, I know we did Spain a few years ago. I've done that a couple times. I've done Australia in a foreign tour. You know, all those are great. But this trip, I think, it's a little bit shorter, which we wanted. And I think to be able to do this and then go to Maui. Maui will have a completely different feel. Obviously, those are real games, and the competition there is going to be outstanding as well. But you know, it's great for your guys to be able to. You know, there's some guys that have not ever traveled outside the country, so to have a chance to go do this is going to be fun. And I think we're still trying to get to know each other a little bit here too.
Will you have Hawaiian shirts for both events? Bahamas too, or is that just Maui?
Maui has given us a Hawaii shirt. You could pull it off.
I'll wear it.
I cannot pull it off, nor will I. But
when in Rome, you got to wear it.
yeah, we'll see. We'll see on that.
Chris, are you a beach guy? You like
I love the beach. Yeah, I love the beach. I do. And guys will tell you, there's a lot of these exempt tour, Kansas City, a lot of different events. There's a reason why we're going to sunny warm places. So if I have control over it, that's where we're going to go.
Talking to some of the guys, you know, in recent weeks at the Kingdom League and stuff like that, I've asked, you know, who's kind of stood out in the practice and stuff among the new guys, and Brace Sensabaugh, I think, has come up more than anyone else, and obviously what he did at the Kingdom League too. I think fans are getting excited about what he could do. Is that consistent from in what you've seen from him in practices, and you know what has he shown you, or what's impressed you the most about what he's bringing to the table?
He's a great kid. He is a natural-born scorer of the ball. He just is, and can do it at an elite level right now. He has to continue to work on other aspects of his game, including his fitness and his conditioning, but has some real natural gifts offensively. But you know, 4 of the freshmen that we expect to play have all had really good moments in practice.
With Justice, you mentioned him, you know, getting back into things, but not full time yet as far as like the trip goes. How has he handled the last couple of months of this off season, coming off of, you know, obviously being disappointed he couldn't play last year? I don't know if maybe he had it in his mind, he thought he might be able to play this summer. How has he kind of handled just this long road to try to get back?
You know, I think you'd have to ask him that. I don't want to speak for him. I think he's been disappointed at times, but I think he's as optimistic as he's ever been, because he's been able to actually practice and do some things. And you know, once you get that under your belt, you're a little more confident. I think he feels really good about where he's at now.
Chris, the roster that you guys have put together this year is more guard heavy than some of your past rosters. Is that by design?
We guard wing is probably an area where we've tried to focus and get a little bit deeper maybe than what we have. Some of it is just a byproduct of who you're recruiting, who you think fits. I know, you know, next year we'll have 3 scholarship centers on our roster, and I know that'll make certainly a lot of people happy. We'll continue to do that, but the game obviously is driven by those guys in the middle of your lineup, guards and wings, as well as obviously you need an elite point guard, and I'm excited about the young fellow we have. I think he's really good.
Looking at teams who have done well in the NCAA tournament in recent years, a lot of times it has been those teams with those smaller lineups. Do you guys look at things like that and then apply it to recruiting?
Yeah, no, I think there's a reality to that. I think athleticism, length, mobility, and versatility has been effective at times. There's certainly been bigger teams that have had great success, but I think we know what that trend has been like in the last 10 years.
Yeah, I was going to say, we had talked last year, clearly Zed's going to have more of a role this season, but we talked about maybe extending his shooting range. Is that something that's been happening with his development? Is that something that's going on right now?
He's shooting them.
He is? He's shooting them?
He's shooting them.
Are they going in?
A couple. A couple. We are actually encouraging him to shoot a lot, and we've told him, keep shooting. You know, I'd ask him when he came back from the Kingdom League, how many threes did you take? We have asked him to do that. You got time, maybe one more.
What have you seen from Tanner so far?
Yeah, Tanner's been good. I think Tanner's going to continue to adjust to the length and speed of the game, and we're excited about kind of his continued, growth. I think there'll be some transition elements for him here for sure this year.
Felix looked like he had a really big game out there too. They put some highlights up and was doing more than just dunking and
Yeah.
blocking shots. Looked
Yeah,
like he was-
I think there's going to have to be a patience level with any big guy that's a freshman that has a lot of room for growth. But he's done some really good things. He still, gets the ball, slapped away from him at times. There's a lot of things we have to work on with him, but he's legit 6'11". He almost reached the top of the square, the top of the backboard. He's a really good athlete. He's a terrific mover at that size. He's almost 220 right now. So his body has continued to take shape, but he's going to have some growing pains this year, as all those guys are, for sure.
Just you touched on the depth that you've added with wings and guards and how important those positions are. Are you seeing, or are you hoping to see some of that pay off in the defensive end as far as?
Last question.
Are you seeing some of that maybe start to pay off on them, or hoping you'll see some of that pay off in the defensive end? Can being deeper in some of those spots help address some of the deficiencies you've had the last few years?
Yeah, as long as we're healthy. I think that's, we're deeper, we're a little bit, as long as we stay healthy, deeper, a little bit more mobile. So that's good stuff. So.
All right.
Thanks.
Thanks.